Hey guys, my name is Chris Quinn, and before I begin, I'd like to thank you guys for giving me the opportunity to speak with you today. And uh, before I introduce my topic, I would first like for you guys to do something for me as the audience. So please imagine a world where there's no anxiety, no depression, and even no stress. Sounds good, don't it? Well, as a college student, those two things we have grown numb to, I guess you would say, because we battle with those in and out every single day. However, I'm talking about a severe level of depression, a severe level of stress, and a severe level of anxiety. And those three things are three of the most common things of what I'm going to talk about, which is mental illness. And mental illness can be defined as a disturbance of thought, behavior, or mood that causes distress or impairs functioning. And in fact, actually, my mother is one of those victims of a mental disorder. So my mom struggles with the mental disorder of bipolar, or bipolarness, I guess you say. But so in fact, of her disease, she has severe mood swings. So she can go from being happy at one moment, and then one catastrophic event happens, and then she changes her whole mood. I'm telling you, like probably like 2 seconds, and that's just one of the main heartbreaking illnesses in the U.S. today. And actually, according to the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders, there are actually 374 mental disorders today. And in fact, over 44 million Americans actually have one of these diseases. And one of the things that I struggle with is, I guess, contemplating or understanding their thinking process. Especially from my mom. I've come at every angle trying to understand her thinking process, but it's just one of those things that they have to have treatment. And it's just one of those things that, was put in this world, and it's not really that we have to understand it, but we have to understand the treatment that goes along with it and how we are able to acquire that treatment for the people that we love. And that's kind of what I'm talking about with you guys today. So my topic's mental illness, if you haven't got the hint yet. But so mental illness is one of the most underlying, I guess, problems in the U.S. today, in my opinion. And hopefully after I'm done talking, it would be in your opinion as well. So, however, there is one main underlying problem that comes along with mental illness. So, we can easily define the problem, or talk with the person and, hey, I would like for you guys to get treatment. Well, able to get treatment in the world today, you actually have to have money. Shocker there. Money is the root of all evil. But in terms of mental illness, one of the main problems is funding for the hospitals and the cost of treatment for people that have mental disorders. In fact, actually, the average cost of mental illness, I guess healthcare, would actually be almost close to 10,000 or 60,000 a month for just to be able to pay for their medicine, which is pretty heartbreaking because, I believe that every person has a right to live a normal and healthy life, and the fact that money gets in the way of that is just, I don't know, it just doesn't sit right in my heart. So, I believe that the cost of mental health care should be changed. And actually, there have been steps taken to be able to, make treatment more affordable, but not really much underlying. So, in fact, so in 2002, President Bush created, by executive order, the President's New Freedom Commission, which is the first time in a quarter century that the federal government has even looked into the U.S., has looked into how the U.S. is delivering healthcare in the United States, and which is pretty heartbreaking, especially mentioning that it takes executive order just for everyone to actually, or even the federal government to actually take into consideration of how mental illness is affecting the world today, especially in our everyday lives. Um, you know, in fact, mental illness has always been around. So the fact that the federal government has now, I guess, in recent years, taken action to, I guess, look into the impact of mental illness is kind of absurd. I would say, see, in 1955, the public mental health hospitals nursed over 500,000 members, and in 1994, there was actually only 120,000 people. So as you can see, the number of people that has been hospitalized has increased in recent years, which you might think that's good. Like, hey, well, maybe they've been cured or maybe they seek treatment. But however, that's the opposite of what I'm saying. I'm saying that, in fact, actually, since the number has gone down, this is meaning a larger percentage of people who have mental illness today are not hospitalized and are not seeking treatment, either because they're, again, because they lack funding, or they can't afford the mental health care benefits, I guess you'd say, or the certain medicine that they need to help with their mental disorder. And as a person that is personally impacted by mental illness, I would say the number one thing that we can do is just make people aware of the certain impact of mental illness. We can't decide to now let mental illness be a problem today when it has always been a problem. And I believe that if we are able to protest and hold strong to our beliefs of that, yes, we need a government that has sufficient funding for certain hospitals or mental care hospitals that can help the mentally disabled people today. I feel like we can actually make a change. And see, in fact, if people are able to ultimately get mental health care treatment, the recovery rate of each treatment is actually mind-blowing. Like, in fact, the recovery rate of people who seek medical treatment for Great Depression is like 65%. And for people that, like my mom has bipolar disease, the recovery rate, if she seeks treatment and gets treatment, is 80%. And to me, that's just a sign of hope. I feel like if we are able to push for a better society, a better understanding as a whole, or make people more aware of mental illness, I feel like we can actually make a change. And one thing that I would like for you guys to keep in mind is that, in fact, mentally illness has always been around, so it's nothing new. And the fact that we pushed it away for so long has only increased, more the underlying side effects of being mentally disordered, which is heartbreaking. But this includes suicide. This can include, people becoming homeless because they don't, because they can't keep a steady job because of their mental illness. So I guess my main message today is to, keep in mind this: mental illness is not a scandal. It's an illness, and like physical illness, it is treatable, especially when it comes early. So I feel like if we can push for a society that believes in helping people with mental illness earlier, then that can prevent a whole lot of, pain and suffering for the loved ones who, know someone with a mental disorder. So with that, I appreciate you guys for letting me speak, and hopefully my words have, made an impact on you, and hopefully push you to, make mental illness more aware in our society. Thank you.